This is the 5-Minute Writing Corner with Troy Bernardo. Hey everyone. Outside of character motivations is something else that helps us drive our stories. It's an external factor that helps us build the story, and character actions make a little more sense because of them. And I'm talking, of course, if you didn't see the title, is the MacGuffin. That's the element we're talking about here of storytelling. So what exactly is a MacGuffin? So in stories, a MacGuffin is an object or an event that helps drive character motivations. So the definition also says that on its own, the MacGuffin is not important or shouldn't be important. I somewhat agree with that second part because sometimes I do believe the item can have some importance, but in general, I think it should have some importance. George Lucas also thinks the audience should care about the MacGuffin, so I'm not alone here on saying that it should probably have some importance. It shouldn't just be nothing. It's a fun fact. The term apparently came from Alfred Hitchcock and stems from a story about a device for catching tigers, which was called a MacGuffin. It's some long-winded story. I'm not going to go into it. I digress. So, MacGuffins are useful because they help us consider what will drive a character in our story. I love this picture, by the way. I kept it on purpose. Let's go over some of the worst and best examples I think of MacGuffins in popular film. For me, the best MacGuffin I can think of is the rug from The Big Lebowski. Without the dude's rug getting peed on in the first few minutes of the film, the rest of the movie won't happen. Right? We need that rug to be ruined for the movie to occur. Another good example is the ring from Lord of the Rings. Without it, the movie wouldn't happen, right? It drives the characters to go and destroy it. Ultimately, more important than a rug, too. What I'm trying to say here is that if there's no ring, then there's really no story, right? It's the thing that drives Frodo to go off and destroy it. And realistically, there's no conflict without that, right? He just stays in the Shire. Just as important, though, are some bad examples of MacGuffins. My favorite bad example is from the Ocean's 11 franchise, right? Why was there such a big drop-off in reviews from Ocean's 11 to Ocean's 12? And I think that answer is pretty simple. And if you have a guess, I hope you guessed it right. It's the MacGuffin, right? I think the MacGuffin just completely was dislikable in the second one. People liked Ocean's 11 because it's about robbing a Vegas casino. That's awesome, right? Super fun. There's tech gadgets, there's guts. The first movie really kind of had everything you wanted in a heist movie. And then you look at Ocean's 12, where they stole an egg. And I like that they kept this egg. In what would be considered maybe the most boring way possible, but that's neither here nor there. I think people didn't like Ocean's 12 because they didn't like the MacGuffin. Now, had the crew stolen the Mona Lisa, or Starry Night, or the girl with the pearl earring, I think audiences might have been a little more engaged in the story. But they didn't, right? That being said, how can we make sure we're choosing a MacGuffin that matters to the audience, right? And I came up with this. We need to start by asking ourselves a few questions like, what does our character really desire? What do they want? What could symbolize this want or need? And is this unique or recognizable to the character? So you want some uniqueness here. Keep in mind, we don't even need to know what the object really is, right? Consider Pulp Fiction. Marcellus Wallace's briefcase, right? We don't really know what's inside of it the entirety of the film, and even at the end, right? But it's still the MacGuffin of the film. It's still driving a lot of the action of the film. So let's try and come up with an example of a MacGuffin together, right? Let's say we have a story about an actor who is on the decline. He isn't getting movies made that are significant, and we see that he needs something before his career completely goes down the tube. So what's a MacGuffin here that could motivate him, right? What could be a good MacGuffin for this story? Maybe it's a script that he thinks could help revitalize his career. Could be a relationship with a rising female star. Maybe an award that he knows will springboard him back into relevance. All of these are MacGuffins that could potentially pull him in different directions for our story. Remember, The motivation in all these stories is the same. All he wants to do is be a relevant actor again. However, each of these MacGuffins make him go about it in different ways. I think a really big takeaway here is we want the MacGuffin to be something the reader cares about. There's no investment from the audience, then the motivation won't seem relatable or meaningful for that matter for the audience either. Now, feel free to make it mysterious, but still make it mean something. Otherwise, you wind up with the crystal skull from Indiana Jones, which I make fun of this movie a lot, but, bear with me. Don't take my word for it in this instance. We'll go ahead and actually directly quote Steven Spielberg, right? Let's see what he said. I sympathize with people who didn't like the MacGuffin because I never liked the MacGuffin. George and I had big arguments about the MacGuffin. I didn't want these things to be either aliens or interdimensional beings, but I am loyal to my best friend. It's a real quote. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this little video on MacGuffins. Once again, appreciate the feedback. I'll see you next week. Most importantly, though, keep on writing.